abutment evaluation and biomechanics in fixed partial denture. So today we'll see how your abutment evaluation will affect the long-term prognosis of your fixed partial denture. So this is what basically abutment tooth is. Okay, before we go into what abutment evaluation is, first let us know the definition of an abutment. Abutment is defined as a tooth, a portion of tooth, or that portion of a dental implant that serves to support and or retain a prosthesis. Okay, now abutment is that portion which is trying to support or retain the prosthesis. Okay, now this is what in the picture you can see. There are the two abutment teeth over which the prosthesis which contains a connector pontic is placed. Okay, now what do you mean by abutment evaluation? Now what all would you see in evaluating your abutment? Okay, now abutment teeth are called upon to withstand the forces normally directed to the missing teeth. Okay, whatever the missing tooth loads are been falling, even those are transferred onto the abutment tooth. Okay, so they have to take up more load than usual. Okay, than a normal, they have to take more loads. So whenever possible, okay, an abutment teeth should be vital. Okay, whenever we are choosing an abutment tooth, we should see that it has to be vital. Okay, and if it is endodontically treated, okay, it has to be asymptomatic. Okay, there should be a radiographic evidence of good seal of the obturation. Okay, if it's a root canal treatment done to the abutment and to be used as an abutment. Okay, so these things we have to see pertaining to abutment when we are trying to select an abutment. Also, teeth that are have been pulpal capped, or suppose there is some pulp capping done or indirect restoration being placed onto the teeth, okay, or temporary restoration, okay, that teeth should not be used as an abutment for fixed partial denture until and unless an endodontic treatment or a definitive restoration is being placed onto the tooth, because we want a long-term serving of the abutment for the fixed prosthesis. Okay, normally abutment teeth should not exhibit any kind of mobility. Okay, abutment teeth should not exhibit any kind of mobility, as they'll be carrying an extra load, okay, the roots and the supporting tissues should be evaluated for three factors. Okay, the roots and teeth have to be evaluated for three factors. Now what are those three factors we are seeing? We are seeing for the crown root ratio, okay, we are also seeing for root configuration, and we are also seeing for periodontal ligament area. Okay, now these are the three factors. Now coming to the crown root ratio. Now what exactly is crown root ratio? Okay, it is the portion of tooth which is in the alveolar bone, okay, in comparison to the portion of the tooth which is not in the alveolar bone. Okay, that is the physical relationship between the portion of tooth within the alveolar bone compared with the portion of the tooth which is not in the alveolar bone. Suppose the crown portion and root portion, and even in the root portion there is some amount of root portion which is not within the alveolar bone because of some periodontal disorder or some bone loss, and always we have to check with a radiograph. Okay, without a radiograph we cannot judge about the alveolar bone support. As you can see in picture A and B, there is adequate bone support for the A picture, okay, first tooth, and in second picture you can see there is loss of bone. Now, optimally, the optimal crown root ratio has to be 2:3, and the minimal acceptable crown root ratio is 1:1. Okay, and the ideal crown root ratio is 1:2. So whenever you are selecting an abutment, at least it should have minimum of 1:1 crown root ratio to act as a abutment. Now, what about the root configuration? Okay, whenever we are selecting a root configuration, what we have to see? Okay, when we are seeing a root configuration, okay, the roots have to be broader labiolingually. They have to be broader labiolingually than, okay, mesiodistally, or they have to be broader buccolingually than mesiodistally, or even the roots have to be elliptical or optical than conical roots. Conical roots are not favorable as abutment tooth than optical or elliptical roots, okay, in cross section. And coming to your posterior teeth, whenever you are having multi-rooted tooth, it is always better. And in the multi-rooted tooth also, the two roots have to be divergent rather than convergent. Okay, when they are becoming divergent, there is more amount of perisegmental area to that root as compared to converged roots where their perisegmental area is reduced. Okay, so multi-rooted posterior teeth with widely separated roots will offer better periodontal support than the roots that are converged or fused or generally present a conical configuration. They generally present a conical configuration. That is what is your root configuration. Now the last would be your periodontal ligament area. When we are talking about periodontal ligament area, we have to understand about Anti's law. Okay, we have to understand about Anti's law. Now what is Anti's law? Okay, Anti's law, it is an eponym for your fixed prosthodontics, okay, or fixed partial denture, okay, for the observation that the combined perisegmental area of the abutment teeth, okay, supporting the prosthesis should be equal to or greater in perisegmental area than the tooth or teeth which are being replaced. Suppose you are replacing one tooth or two teeth. The abutment teeth should have more perisegmental area than that tooth or teeth which are being replaced. Now, Ante's law is used to assess. Okay, it is used to assess the prognosis of the fixed partial. It is the main useful tool in assessing the long-term prognosis of a fixed partial denture. Okay, so if you're assessing it right, you can always tell the patient about the prognosis of the scenario of a fixed partial denture. Okay, now coming to the root surface area or the perisegmental surface area of, in general, a common average perisegmental area of common teeth. If you see in anterior teeth, okay, when you're seeing for anterior teeth, maxillary canine is having more perisegmental area compared to other teeth, other anterior teeth. And when you're comparing with the posterior teeth, maxillary first molar has more some perisegmental area because it is three rooted tooth. Okay, it has more perisegmental area as compared to other posterior teeth. So we have to have a basic idea or the average idea of the perisegmental area to understand how we can use it as an abutment. Okay, and then we talk about in this picture. If you see here, mandibular first molar is missing. So we are taking support of the adjacent second premolar and adjacent second molar. Now, if you want to see about the perisegmental area here, obviously the perisegmental area together of the second premolar and second molar is definitely more than the first molar. Okay, it is definitely more than the first molar. Okay, so as such we are abiding to Anti's law here, and definitely this kind of scenario will have a long-term prognosis of your fixed partial denture. Okay, so it is a good scenario of replacing a tooth. Now here in the second picture, if you see, you have your second premolar and first molar missing. So we are taking support of the first premolar and second molar. Now if you see here, at least it is not more, but at least it is equal to the teeth. Okay, the perisegmental area is equal to the teeth which are being replaced. The perisegmental area of the abutment teeth is at least equal to the teeth which are being replaced. So still here we are trying to abide by Anti's law, which says that it is above or equal. So still even this will have a fair prognosis. This kind of scenarios will also have a fair prognosis in your fixed partial denture treatment. Okay. Now in the third picture here, if you see, your second premolar, your first premolar and your first molar, three are missing. Okay, and if you're taking just support of canine and second molar, we are not trying to have more or equal perisegmental area. Definitely the perisegmental area is more for the missing teeth than the abutment teeth. So we are, the Anti's law is not satisfied here. So we are not abiding by Anti's law, and definitely even if you're trying to replace by using these two teeth, the three teeth, definitely the long-term prognosis of the FPD cannot be assured. Okay, until and unless only the patient wants her to give such FPD. Now what are the aids? Now how would you identify that this tooth has this much amount of Anti's law? Okay, how much is the perisegmental area for that tooth? Okay, now there are three things we have to see when we are seeing for perisegmental area. Okay, one is radiographs. Okay, always we have to go for radiographs to confirm that this can be used as a abutment tooth, periodontal probing and mobility test. So these are the three things we have to see. Now if you see here in the radiograph, the distal surface of the molar has bone loss. Okay, so this cannot act as an ideal abutment tooth. Just by seeing that we have done root canal treatment, no, we have to see for radiographic appearance also. If you see here in the second picture, there is periodontal probing. If there is a deep pocket, again there's bone loss definitely. So even that cannot be used as a abutment tooth. Now, if you see if there is some mobility to the abutment tooth, again a mobile tooth will definitely not have periodontal ligament area, so it cannot be used as a abutment tooth. Now we have to see few situations. Now the first situation is a pyre abutment. Now what is happening in a pyre abutment scenario? Okay, in a pyre abutment scenario, if you're talking about the biomechanics, you have edentulous space both mesial and distal to your abutment tooth. So if you're trying to replace that way, you're trying to concentrate more loads onto the pyre abutment. So to reduce down the loads on the pyre abutment, we usually break the connector or use non-rigid connector design in such situations. The usage of non-rigid connector design will try to dissipate or have a stress breaking mechanism onto this pyre abutment such that we are not trying to load more the pyre abutment. Here, the keyway of the connector should be located within the normal distant contours of the pyre abutment, and the key should be placed on the mesial side of the distal pontic. Okay, that is one important point we have to know when we are doing pyre abutment scenarios. Okay, now what biomechanics would affect in long span fixed partial denture? When we are seeing long span fixed partial denture, okay, there is some load definitely falling onto the pontic. Okay, so there will be some bending forces falling on the pontic. So if you're trying to replace one tooth, there is not much of a force, only x. If you're trying to replace two teeth, it becomes 2 cube of the bending force, so it becomes 8x. And if you're trying to replace three teeth by support of two teeth like a long span bridge, then this 3 into 3, that is 3 cube, will become 27x. So okay, so the bending and deflection will become more as and when we are trying to increase the number of teeth being replaced by taking support of only two teeth. Bending and deflection varies directly to the cube of length and conversely with the cube of occlusal gingival height. Okay, occlusal gingival thickness of the pontic. Suppose if the pontic is more thick, bending will be less. If the pontic is thin, the bending or deflection will be more. Okay, that is what we have to see when you are trying to compare your single replacement FPDs, two teeth replacement FPDs, or three teeth replacement FPDs. Two teeth will have more deflection and three teeth will have even more deflection than two teeth. Okay, a 3-port pontic space bends 27 times as much as a single tooth pontic. Okay, single pontic FPDs. So that is what is the biomechanics affecting in long span fixed partial denture. Now what we are trying to see biomechanics in your tilted molar scenarios. When you have a tilted molar abutment to be taken as support for your fixed partial denture, there are many things we have to see because sometimes your first molar is missing and the second molar tries to drift into the first molar space wherein it becomes tilted. Now in a tilted molar scenario, it is not parallel to the premolar, and we want the FPD only in one path of insertion because FPDs cannot be inserted in multiple paths of insertion because they are a joint unit. So it has to have one path of insertion. Okay, so we have to try to get the molar and the premolar in single path of insertion. Okay, tilted abutment teeth are a common problem that must be addressed in a common fixed partial prosthesis. Okay, the tooth to be replaced by restoration frequently has been missing for a long time. That's why even the tooth have a tendency to drift mesially always. Therefore, the tooth distal to the missing one will often have the tilted into the space. Okay, mesial space. Now, what are the scenarios? How can you correct these tilted molar abutments? So you can also do some preparation where you're trying to parallel your tilted molar. Okay. Now, what are the some possible scenarios or possible solutions in correcting your tilted molar abutments? If you have a minor tilt or a slight tilt, okay, if you are having a minor tilt or a slight tilt, that will only be corrected easily by just recontouring of your mesial side of the tooth, recontouring of the mesial surface of the second molar. But if the tilting is slightly severe, okay, then we have to go for some orthodontic correction. If we want some conservative approach, we have to go for some proximal half crowns, okay, or we can also go for telescopic crowns, or we can also go for non-rigid connector design. Now, when we are talking about orthodontic treatments, okay, there is something called as pre-prosthetic. Before you give prosthesis, you have to go for some orthodontic corrections. Okay, some degree of uprighting. Suppose it is if not severely tilted, minor tilts if it's there, you can correct with orthodontic treatment because they are more conservative approach. You're not trying to damage the tooth structure in a wrong way. Okay, and you're trying to get the path of insertion correct. The open coil spring with fixed appliance is used, and the treatment time is maximum to 3 months. Here you can see only we're trying to correct or straighten the molar teeth. So we don't want to band all other teeth. Okay. Now the next thing is your proximal half crowns. What is why you want to give a proximal half crown? How different it is? Suppose the patient is not willing for a orthodontic treatment, or the orthodontic treatment cannot be given. So you are trying to give a proximal half crown wherein your proximal surface, the distal half, is left intact, because sometimes it is not decalcified structure, it is very much hard structure, and you even don't want to disturb the contact area between the distal side of the tooth and the adjacent tooth. Okay, the distal surface is untouched by caries or decalcification, therefore there is very low incidence of proximal caries throughout the mouth. Even there is low incidence. When are you contraindicating such proximal half crowns? When you have severe marginal ridge height deficiency discrepancy between the distal of the second molar and mesial of the third molar. Suppose the occlusal plane is not even for your distal and mesial side of the molars. In such situations, you cannot give your proximal half crown. Okay, that we have to remember. Okay, because sometimes there is tipping of the third molar. Now, what is a telescopic crown? We all know what is a telescope. Telescope is a tube within a tube design. Now, such situation can also be incorporated in a tilted molars, and we can give one crown, okay, one coping like thing onto the distal abutment or the molar, okay, and the bridge or the FPD will go and sit like a telescope onto this previously cemented coping onto the distal molar. Okay, it is a two-piece restoration is constructed whereby the line of the drawn components, you can see here in the picture, there are line drawn onto the coping of the distal abutment, and these lines coincide with the placement of the crown of the distal abutment. Okay, it is placed on a severely tipped second molar or any tooth in general. Okay, the line drawn of the component is then in harmony with the abutment tooth. Okay, with the other abutment tooth. So both are being parallel. Okay, that is what is a telescopic crown. Now, what do we mean by broken connector design? Now, sometimes you can also use broken connectors wherein if you want to achieve a parallel path of insertion, but you cannot prepare the tooth, both the teeth in parallelism, or the patient is not willing, we can't indicate a proximal half crown or a telescopic crown because it is expensive. You can break the connector design such that you are trying to have a different path of insertion for both the abutment teeth. Okay, and let the FPD sit accordingly. Okay, so in these situations, it's desirable to connect units of fixed part bridges in same manner that will allow various components of the processes to be seated separately. Okay, so that's what is with your broken connectors. Now coming to the summary of the topic, what do we understand by this abutment evaluation and biomechanics? So when we are seeing for abutment evaluation and biomechanics, okay, when we are planning and treating cases involving fixed prosthodontic restorations, it is important that all the applicable parameters are taken into account. All the factors, whether it is tilted, whether it is straight, whether the perimental area is adequate or not, whether the roots are fine or not, these all things have to be taken into consideration. The prosthodontist must not just focus too much on the finer details of constructing a perfect restoration or risk creating a failure because of proper engineering principles were not used. Okay, we should always see that are we trying to suffice the clinical situation or not. Perfection will definitely come over, but first, can we do something to the situation with a fixed processes or not? That we have to decide. If the success is attained, the prosthodontist must take into account the opposing occlusion, periodontal bone loss, attachment apparatus, length of the span, all these factors into consideration while selecting an abutment. Okay, so that is what is we are choosing when you're replacing a FPT. And now know what sparks the light in you. Then use that light to illuminate the world.